To friends who are here from Singapore, Lampo asked me earlier before the session start, how is everyone and what's the feedback of the retreat? I could honestly just tell him that I think it's positive because I didn't hear anything. So if you're here and you attended the retreat, you might want to just put it in your hand and share with Lampo on your reflections and how your week has passed since the retreat. Anyone at all? It's always good to give feedback. We have Shome. Wonderful. Sister Shome. Always lovely to have you. Shome?
Thank you, Peter. Hi, Longpo. The retreat was really, I think I benefited from it more than I expected. I haven't been to a retreat for the longest time. And it's not just because there was that pandemic, that would have been a convenient excuse. When I got back after the retreat, I felt that I had many of my the questions which I didn't even verbalize answered, thanks to the clarity you've given to a lot of what you taught. But what really helped me, and I'm really truly grateful, is that I was able to have a little breakthrough with my sitting. I could almost double the time I sit compared to my usual. And the most important takeaway for me was your story on the paramis. Remember the story about the Chiang Mai bhikkhu who built the stupa or something. And that made me realize, hey, I never realized that. I mean, yeah, I think we all tend, or at least I do, tend to underestimate the store of paramis we have. And that probably accounted for why I am constantly in doubt. So that was like a breakthrough for me. Thank you.
Yes, I agree with you. I think we often do underestimate our parami and what we've achieved in the past. Because if we didn't have any parami, we wouldn't be here as human beings. We wouldn't have come in contact with the Buddhist teachings. So we have to find ways to bring out these best qualities, these spiritual qualities through the practice. And like you said, you sat a bit longer on this retreat than you've sat before. Well, that's one of the best ways to bring out the barami and deepen your barami is sitting longer or meditating for longer periods than you've done before, because it brings up the effort and the patience, and you learn from that, don't you? When you sit longer, it forces you to work with your own mind, bring up the mindfulness, put up with maybe some painful feelings in the body. If you do consciously extend the periods of time that you do sitting meditation, I think you'll find your barami deepens.
Sister, you want to add on? You're trying to unmute yourself. Sister Shome, you want to add on? Sorry, try again.
I think the challenge is really sustaining it. Yeah. So so I'm looking forward to the next retreat so that there is some concrete reinforcement other than daily practice. Yeah.
Very good, very good. Keep going.
Thank you.
Okay, Lampo, I have a question here from Gail. Gail's question is, Lampo, can you please elaborate the quote, "We shall breathe in and out, experiencing the whole body," unquote. Thank you, Luang Por.
Well, I think that's from the Anapanasati Sutta, isn't it? And as we practice mindfulness of breathing and become better at holding our attention on the breath, better at maintaining mindfulness with the breath, we know the breath in, know the breath out, the mind is not so wavering, it's not so distracted, then the attention becomes internalized, doesn't it? This is what you find once your mind and the breath and the practice of mindfulness of breathing becomes strong and continuous. If you're meditating, say, sitting there with your eyes closed, your attention goes inwards and you become much more aware of what we call the breath body, or the feeling of the breath within the whole body. Because if you think about it, your mindfulness is merging with the breath. You're mindful of the breath, the in and out breath. And that means you're becoming much more aware of the breath element, or the element of the breath, the oxygen, which you draw in through your nose and fills your lungs, but it also goes out through your blood, doesn't it? Your blood is oxygenated from the lungs. And you're focusing on the breath and the breath element, or the air element. So really you're becoming in touch with your whole body, the blood flowing around your whole body. And as your mindfulness and the state of calm or samadhi becomes deeper, then you become much more aware of the internal body, or the breath body, and the energy flowing around the body. And people also, at that point, they often have nimittas of the breath, so they see the breath as it's flowing around the body in terms of light or different images as well. But it's this internalization of the breath, what we call the breath body, because the mind has merged with the breath, then it becomes clearly aware to the mind that the body, the breath is inside the body. You're fully aware of that. So you might say it's a stage of awareness. As samadhi is arising, you're aware on the inside of the breath. No longer, the movement of the breath at the nose. You're now aware of the breath, fully aware internally in the whole body.
Gail, I hope that answers your question. Someone's just asked me whether the recordings from Luang Por's recent retreat in Singapore are available. Yes, they are. Gradually, they're being posted on the monastery's YouTube page, as well as the Buddha Dhamma Foundation YouTube page. So you can find the 3 days Q&A from the retreat that have just been uploaded to YouTube. So if you like to download or listen to them, just go to the Buddha Bodhivana Monastery YouTube page or the Buddha Dhamma Foundation YouTube page. Are there any more questions from the floor? Okay, Gil has a follow-up question. Luang Por, I feel the body swell and then it deflates. Is this experiencing the body?
Yes, that is part of experiencing the body. We'll be aware of many sensations, but it sounds like you're describing the in and out breath, the arising and falling of the abdomen or the diaphragm. So yeah, that's one part of the body, and you can just focus on that and observe and learn to see the impermanent nature of that sensation and the air element, the impersonal nature of the air element. You know, there's no person there. It's just the movement, the sensation, the arising, the falling. It's the breath element. But you can be looking to see, is there a person here? Does anyone own this feeling or this sensation? It's a question you could bring up. That's one way of looking at it. Or observing the impermanent nature of those sensations. You know, what arises must fall, and just keep looking at the impermanence, observing that impermanence, and you get wisdom from that. As if you're looking with mindfulness, you start to draw conclusions in your mind. Oh, you're seeing this sensation arises, this sensation ceases. There's no person in that. It's just a sensation arising and ceasing. These are the kind of insights you get the more you practice. If you keep practicing, you'll have more of this.